Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to my farewell video, because after 5 years, I think it's time for me to move on from Booktube. Now, I know that some indie authors watching this probably just started panicking, so hang on. I am still reviewing indie books, okay? If you have sent me a review book that's still on my list to review, I am still accepting review requests up until I close November 1st. You're good. You're still going to get reviews. It's just not going to be a video review on this channel. And honestly, that might not be that big of a loss for you, but we'll talk about that later. First, let's talk about how we got here in the first place. I began Booktube in October of 2018, and I hadn't even been watching it for that long before then. I'd always thought about being a YouTuber after I read a statistic somewhere that said 99% of the content on the site is made by less than 1% of the users, and I wanted to increase that number. For some reason, it was in my head. So when I saw that Booktube existed, and I read a lot, it was kind of a given. Now, because I hadn't watched a ton of Booktube before beginning it, I was unaware of exactly how to best integrate myself into the community. I never quite did it well. I did not participate in a lot of Readathons at the time. I did not do weekly reading vlogs. I did not want to do hauls because I am not very big on consumer culture. I did not want to do bookshelf tours because I personally don't watch bookshelf tours, but those were the things that were popular and I just never did them. And as a result, my views stayed pretty low. And I'm not faulting people. I'm not being like, I'm such a unique individual and the mainstream whatever can't see. Like, I get why a lot of those things are popular. They just weren't things I wanted to do. And I had often sat down with myself and looked at the small numbers and I thought, do I actually want to make a go of this properly? Or am I accepting that this is just a little hobby that's never going to become a thing on its own? And every time I sat down over the course of this past 5 years, I came to the same conclusion. I don't want to do those things. I don't want to make a real go out of this. I'm just here for the enjoyment of the process in itself. And I'd always told myself that once that enjoyment was gone, I was done. And slowly but surely, that enjoyment has been kind of ebbing. And I don't think I realized exactly how much it had at first, because I still do find some enjoyment out of Readathons and watching Booktube and the like. But when I started to sit down and compare my enjoyment over Booktube compared to my other hobbies, the gulf between my levels of passion became vast and undeniable. Because when I am sitting down to think through a crochet project or a TikTok video, I am all in. I have genuinely spent an hour to create a 30-second TikTok that only did mid-numbers, and I did not care because just the enjoyment of making it was that much fun. And yes, my personal TikTok, which is not Booktalk, it is TTRPG, D&D, Ren Fair, Fantasy Core, and yes, some crochet stuff on TikTok, is more lucrative than my Booktube ever was. I am actually closing in on monetization on TikTok in a way I never got close to for Booktube. I have been over 1,000 subscribers for a while now, and I've never come close to the watch time. So yes, there is a certain level of incentive to switch, but in general, I have not made money off TikTok in the 2 years I've been doing it, and it's still just so much fun. I don't care. And then when I think about my crochet projects, which are never going to make me any money because I have no intention of ever opening an Etsy store or doing commissions or doing any of that, that stuff takes forever. Okay, if you know anything about crochet, it's so long. And I am loving every process of it. I will purposely pick to spend hours with my little repetitive hand motions because I'm so excited for what the end product is going to be. And when I compared my passions for those two things, as long as some others, like I am trying to get out more, I am trying to do more things, and I compare that level of passion I have for all of those things to Booktube, it is sad because while I will sit down and spend an hour on a 30-second TikTok video, I don't feel the same sitting down to create an even longer Booktube video. Because videos, especially on YouTube, take so long to make. They are very labor intensive, more so than TikTok, because TikTok's editing tools are all built into the app, whereas in YouTube, you have to have your own editing software, your own editing tools, and your own editing know-how, basically before you ever upload it for the first time, unless you want to do the very bare bones. But like if I want to put an image of the book I'm talking about on screen, I have to know how to do that in a separate editing software that you don't have to have for TikTok. And as a result, it takes so long to make a single Booktube video. If you have watched my channel for a while, you may have watched the rule for TBRs, my monthly TBR game videos. A single one of those, just filming it, would basically eat up an entire afternoon just to film it, because I would have to do all of the previous month ones, and then I would have to do the rolls, and then I would have to go to the side and pick the books, and then I would have to come back and tell you about the books, and easily that's 3 to 4 hours gone, and that's just to film it. It then would take several more hours to edit it, and that's in the bare bones editing style. Now, if you're enjoying the process, that's whatever. If you're not, that is so much time. And I love the game. And part of the reason that I was really hesitant to leave Booktube was I want to keep playing that game. And then I had the kind of realization that I don't need to make a video to play that game. I can just do it on my own. I don't have to be filming it. The game can still exist and be fun without video evidence of its existence, which is a very 2023 realization. It's a very weird epiphany to be like, I can do a thing without turning it into online content. I can just do it for fun. Probably should have come to that realization sooner, in all honesty. But I've also done that before with like 24-hour readathons, where I'm like, oh, I want to catch up on books, but I don't want to have to vlog it. Like there are several readathons I've done, personal readathons, that I vlogged and then just never put them together. Just never actually edited and upload the video. It was just for me. And eventually I realized, again, I can just do my own 24-hour readathon without having to vlog it, without having to have any video evidence of it. I don't have to do that. And eventually I realized, okay, the enjoyment is gone. The numbers still aren't there. I'm still no closer to monetization, even though I wouldn't push for it if I was, because my, again, enjoyment is already cratering, that the idea of taking that thing I'm already losing interest in and pushing even harder to try to get a little teeny tiny bit of money, because Booktube's not that lucrative, sounded awful, and it sounded like a recipe for burnout. And I know that a lot of people talk about burnout after the fact. I feel like we need to have more conversations on preventing burnout and doing the things and avoiding the things that would cause burnout. But eventually I was like, okay, we're done. But I didn't just want to leave entirely. I know a lot of indie authors are waiting on me to review their books, or I've heard indie authors talking about how they would literally wait for me to open to review requests again because they knew they wanted to request it the second I was open. So obviously I'm like, I don't want to leave all of those indie authors in the lurch, but do I also just want to be reviewing on Amazon and Goodreads, even though Amazon and Goodreads are probably the more lucrative review platforms than getting a video. I know a lot of indie authors are super excited when they get to see their book in a video, but I'm going to tell you right now, as someone who's been watching the analytics, you're not actually getting that many views for your book off of review videos. And that's not just my channel. That's just not just me saying it. If you talk to almost any booktuber, they will tell you that like single book video reviews actually do the least well analytically of most booktube types. Like a TBR game, a challenge video, you know, I read scary books in a haunted house, whatever. Those videos are going to do gangbusters compared to what a single book's video review is going to do. And that's also why it's really funny when so many of Booktube's critics are like, why aren't they just reviewing books? That's not what people watch. That's Straight up, like, I've had videos do fairly well on my channel. They're almost never book reviews unless that author already has a big standing fan base that wants to watch someone talk positively about that specific author's book. Almost to a fault. Every single review video I've ever had that did well was because the author already had a standing fan base. I was not bringing anything new to that author's, like, whole demographic. Okay, they brought something new to me, if anything. And yes, I have sold books for people. I have convinced people to buy books based on my reviews. So I'm not saying it's nothing, but I'm saying comparatively, it's actually not that much. And hopefully, I will be able to build a new platform that will maybe be more helpful. So let's talk about where I'm going next. So the obvious answer would be Booktalk, correct? That's where a lot of booktubers have moved to. It is a lot more financially lucrative than Booktube ever was. I don't ever recall seeing a Booktube told me to in a Barnes & Noble. But I did try to go on Booktalk a while back. I made an account and I don't like it. I tried. It's just so much harder to curate your algorithm on Booktalk than it is on any of the other TikToks I'm on, because Booktalk is so much more massive and involves so much more drama. Now, this is not to say that the TTRPG and Ren Fair TikToks are drama free. I mean, I think Ren Fair TikTok gets about as close to drama free as an online community is going to get, but even the dramas that like TTRPG TikTok has are so much smaller than Booktalk dramas, because if TTRPG TikTok gets reported on by the mainstream press, it's because a major company a la Wizards of the Coast did something that the fans are responding to negatively. It's very rare that a specific TTRPG TikTok influencer is doing something to a scale that it would get reported. Meanwhile, freaking ESPN is reporting on Booktalk dramas. NHL teams are responding to Booktalk dramas, and I cannot. I cannot. It's too much. It seems like every time I turn around, there's a new dude saying something terrible. Like, it's just, And I know what everyone's going to say. That's not the whole of Booktalk. There are different corners of it. And I will grant you, yes, the problem is you have to constantly be fighting to get to those corners. I had the hardest time curating my algorithm when I was on Booktalk versus the TTRPG and Ren Fair TikTok. It is so easy. My algorithm on my TTRPG Ren Fair TikTok side is so nicely curated. I am stumbling across people suggested to me that fit exactly what I want to see on my feed. It's fantastic. Not the case with Booktalk. I don't like Colleen Hoover, don't really care about that. I want to stay on the indie books. I want to stay with the weird books. Those get buried under stuff I don't want, and it felt like I was constantly fighting to find the books I wanted. So I looked at that and I was like, I already got buried in Booktube, which is a relatively much smaller community. I'm gonna get 10,000 times buried in Booktalk. Like, what's the point? And so I was like, that's not gonna be an option. I don't want to have to constantly navigate those waters. I am not disparaging Booktalk entirely. I know it has a lot of value to a lot of people. It's not a community I want to have to navigate, especially when I am already tired navigating the much smaller bookish community that I have been. And maybe one day I will be forced to get on there if I ever want to publish my own work. I get that, but that's a problem for a different day. Honestly, I'd probably just start sneaking in author promos to my already standing TikTok instead. So what we actually are doing is blogging. I have known for a while that I am a much better writer than a speaker. In a course in college, I had a professor that gave us the option to either do a presentation or a paper on our topic of choice, and I picked a presentation. Fun fact, on the Newsboy Strike of 1899, because yes, I love that movie. And she said to me afterwards that she'd wished I'd written a paper, and I got confused because I got an A on the project. And she goes, "Oh no, your presentation is very good, but your writing is exemplary." She was like, "Your presentation is above average, but your writing is like notable and memorable in a way that not a lot is. So I wasn't working to my strengths there. And she's not wrong. I have realized that later, like, I can put together professional grade articles in very short period of time. And I know this because for a short stint, I was actually a paid freelance writer for one of those marketing companies. You know, you have to throw together 5 things to do to help your child keep their teeth clean for a pediatric dental office so that their office would come up in search results, you know, that kind of thing. Never had my name attached because they didn't want a specific author's name attached, but I could put one of those together, research included, in under an hour and have it considered a professional grade level and get paid for it. But this single take that you're seeing here has taken me at least 7 tries. I think I am at least on my 7th take of this clip alone. I am a much better writer than a speaker. And I know the obvious question is, well, Margaret, why don't you script your videos? I could, but that is one more level. And I have tried that before. I've done at least one scripted video and I still screwed it up because I would make weird faces or turn my face too far away, or I would misread my own script. Like, I'm a much better writer than a speaker. And so I am remembering that a lot more now, because even now as I am writing drafts to be posted, and if I have done this accordingly, I should already have 2 posts up the same day that this video drops. I am already feeling so much more invigorated by it, and I'm remembering my love of writing, because if you query for long enough, it will kill a love of writing, I swear. But I am writing like thousands of words a day across several drafts, and I'm getting really excited for it. And it is reinvigorating my love of this kind of content all over again, which is showing me that, yes, this was the right decision to make. This was the right thing to do for the next step. And I'm really happy with it. And in general, I am remembering of how good of a writer I am compared to everything else. So as of when this video drops, there should be 1 blog post that is basically this video in blog format, why I left Booktube. And 2, there should be a general overview for my role for TBR, my TBR PG, which I only put up there because I want to start doing that on the blog, and it will be the next month here coming up. So I wanted to get that all set up so I could keep doing that over there. But I'm also having other fun ideas, and I'm going to try to see if I can do some kind of set of, not vlogging, but journaling, I guess it would be journaling, to do a 24-hour or another kind of readathon on a blog. But, you know, readathons were on blogs before they were on Booktube. So I'm definitely excited to try that. And I am trying to set up a schedule for myself of when I will write the posts versus when they will go out. And I'm hoping I will stick to it more than I stuck to this. But the blog is called A Happy Hipster. That's just the best title I could come up with right now, because I am fairly hipster, but also I like to think I am an optimist. My blood type is B positive. It's a joke, but it's not. That's my actual blood type. And the name might change. Currently, it is a WordPress blog. So the URL is margaretadele.wordpress. I am testing it out. If I do like it, I will probably get the paid version where it's just margaretadele.com. And eventually, if I feel like it's working enough, I want to do paid posts, like paid subscriber posts. That's like snippets of random stories that maybe are going to get turned into books. Maybe they're just my weird imagination, and you'll get to see like random old sci-fi romance posts from stories that I made like 5 years ago. I don't know. We're going to test it out. I'm feeling really optimistic, and I'm feeling really excited to see how things are going to move forward. Fun fact, in my tarot pull for the day, I actually pulled the Fool, which is, if you don't know tarot, it's essentially the beginning of something new. It's a very big, a new journey has begun card, and so I like the imagery of pulling that card today as I am preparing this new thing. And if you are interested, please feel free to hop on over there. Link in description. I am not doing any paid posts yet, so you don't need to worry about having to spend any money just yet. I'm hopefully also going to share this more on my TikTok, my TTRBG TikTok. I don't know how many people are actually going to go for it, but we'll see. Regardless, I am feeling really excited. I am already brimming with different ideas for posts, and that is where my reviews are going to be from now on. And there are going to be maybe some repeat posts from things that I already posted on this channel. So if I had a rambling discussion on here, I might actually take it and like expand my thoughts on that discussion, because the rambling discussion was called that because I didn't really have a plan. Again, no script. So I might take those ideas and like more spread them out and think them through a little bit more to write them out in a blog posts. I have thought about whether or not I'm going to be bringing formerly posted indie reviews over there. The thing is that I've posted over 200 indie reviews on this channel over the last 5 years. So, you know, it's a lot. I might do like whole series reviews for entire series that I have reviewed in their entirety. I might pull in previous books that I've reviewed if I'm still getting the reviews for later books in this series. I might do that just so someone coming new to the blog doesn't have to go watch a video to then read a post. So you might see a lot of the content that I already posted on here being posted over there. But as for this channel, am I going to be posting on here again at all? There may be a couple last straggler indie reviews that get posted here. After I film this, but hopefully before I drop it, I am going to contact indie authors and give them the option, because I did technically promise them a video review when they sent the request. I will give them the option of, do you still want that video review or do you want a blog post? And it is an or, you will not get both. And if they say I still want the video review, then there may be a couple last indie reviews up on this channel, but it is not going to be a regular thing. I am changing my review policy. That should be changed as of this video dropping. And from this point on, if you are sending a review request, it will just be for a blog post and the usual Amazon and Goodreads. And once again, I need to reiterate, that is not a big loss to you. Video reviews do not do as well, I think, as blog posts or as the Amazon and Goodreads stuff. So you will not actually be losing all that much in switching from one format to the other. Regardless, I may still be posting some other stuff on here. I am still working on the creation and evolution of Readathons that might get a video essay. I'm not sure, because again, my editing skills aren't great and most people don't like watching video essays if it's just a person on screen talking. So I don't know. We might have to look a little bit more into that one. But all of the content you may have been looking forward from me, like the, Margaret's Niche Indie Book Awards, will be on the blog. The year end and beginning of year goals will all be on there. Again, the indie reviews will be on there. And I do still hope to be reviewing the same authors that I already was reviewing before. I hope you guys are still up for it. I know that a lot of people talk about how seeing me excitedly wave a book around in the video was part of my charm, and I hope that I can make up for that loss in future reviews. I'm not going to be super serious in them necessarily, obviously, unless they're about like really dark topics, but regardless, I'm really hoping that I can make this transition as smooth as possible, and I don't want to sound ungrateful for how I got here. These last 5 years have been enjoyable to a certain extent. I would not have done it for 5 years if it was not. Again, I have made no money from this. I have gotten some fun swag over the years. I'll give it that. But for the most part, it has been purely a labor of love and enjoyment. And now that the enjoyment is basically gone, I need to move to where the passion is and still continue to review indie books and give indie books a shout out. Will I ever do Spiffbo on my blog? Probably not. I do want to be a judge for one of those reviewer contests, but like, I can't do high fantasy. But who knows? Maybe we'll find new connections and new networks in the blogging sphere. And if you are interested in following me along with that, you can go subscribe to said blog. I will respond to comments on there. And thank you so much for those of you who have watched me. I do notice that the amount of likes on my videos tend to be almost the exact same number. So I see y'all. I see my mini posse in those numbers. Thank you so much. And it was a wonderful 5 years, but it is time to move on. And for whatever reason, October just seems to be the month I start new things. So with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.